Today's video is going to be a quick, lighthearted video because I wanted to post something because it has been just a short little while since my last video. So today I'm going to be talking about just a few common mistakes that I noticed that Portuguese native speakers make in English, and these are just a few things that I have observed over the years in Portugal and just being friends with people who are native Portuguese speakers. The letter H in English is a pesky little letter. It can combine with other letters to make separate sounds. We can say the letter H like a h sound, or sometimes it's not pronounced at all. But there are some cases where the letter H is not so complicated, and when it's combined with the letter T, that's one of those cases. TH almost always makes a th or the sound in English. But there are some words that non-native English speakers seemingly love to add an extra H in or put the H where it doesn't belong. One such word is the word with. I often see Portuguese native speakers writing the word with, W-H-I-T, which gives us a word that would be pronounced like quit. Now, if somebody's speaking quickly, it might sound like they're saying wit in English, but in fact, we're saying the word with a th sound, so the H needs to go after the T. In a similar vein, we have the word coffee. The word coffee is a pesky word because it has two F's and two E's. But many Portuguese native speakers drop the second E, and in fact you can see it all over Portugal, whether that's on menus or even in the names of some cafes. However, in English we have a rule with one E at the end of a word which helps us determine how we're supposed to say a vowel. If we have a vowel, a consonant, and an E at the end of a word, that vowel is supposed to be pronounced as a long vowel. A long vowel in English is usually a diphthong, and basically what that means is the difference between a, e, I, o, or u to a, e, I, o, u. You can hear that the diphthong draws out the length of the vowel that we're saying, and so when we read a word that's spelled like coffee with one E, our immediate cue is to pronounce the O as a long O. That would give us coffe. And coffe kind of sounds like cough, and I don't know about you, but I don't want to be coughing while drinking my coffee. So, in the case of English, it's two F's and two E's. The next one that I have is a mistake that I saw a lot when I was doing my MA program in Lisbon. In Portuguese, we have a convenient little word in the form of até. Até means leading up to a certain time. That can refer to both the period of time and a deadline. It's just one word. But in English, we have two words. We have until and by. The preference among Portuguese speakers here seems to be for the word until, I think because it also has two syllables. So for example, I would see things like your paper is due until February 18th at midnight, which as it were is not the way that we would properly say that in English. But there is a subtle difference between how we use these two words. When we're talking about a deadline, we use the word by. You need to get a certain amount of work done by a certain time, or you need to write your paper by a certain date. But if we're talking about the period leading up to that time, we use the word until. So we have a period of time until the deadline, but our deadline is by a certain date. Hopefully that is a fairly easy tip to remember. The last one I wanted to talk about is the formation of the past tense. A lot of the times Portuguese native speakers will say things like didn't wanted. This is analogous to the Portuguese não tinha querido. In this case, tinha querido is a compound past tense. It's taking one verb in the past tense and pairing it with another past participle. In a literal direct sense, we could translate that as didn't wanted, because wanted is also the past participle for the same verb in English. However, in English, when we form our past tense with did, we don't need another past participle because we're already indicating something in the past with did. So instead we use the basic or the infinitive form of the verb, and we have didn't want. It's the difference between didn't wanted, didn't liked, and other erroneous forms like didn't flied or didn't thinked, and saying didn't want, didn't like, didn't fly, didn't think, and so on. Just something to keep in mind when you're translating from Portuguese to English. And that's all I've got for these common little errors that I have noticed over time. I've been compiling them for a while as I've noticed people saying them, but I haven't really had the right kind of video to put them in, so I thought I'd make one now. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, if you learned something or otherwise found it interesting, give me a thumbs up down below. You might think about subscribing to my channel if you're not already. I make videos about food, culture, and the Portuguese language, which you can find on my channel or in playlists in the eye above, and I will see you next time.